Hello! So, we've got a bit of Shakira going on, but matter at hand, we have my question and answer video! I'm awkward. I'm going to start with the questions from the Facebook. So I asked you guys to ask me any questions about my photography or my personal life or whatever, and you guys answered the call. So let's get to it. What lens do I use? I use 50mm 1.8. Do you use manual mode for shooting? I wish I used manual mode for shooting, but I really don't. I use aperture priority, and I don't want to waste time trying to figure out the settings, so I really should practice more, but we'll see because I'm really lazy sometimes. How do you come up with your concepts? I have my concept book that I use, but I don't use it very often. Like, normally what happens with me is something will just kind of hit me, and then if I think the idea is worth pursuing or whatever, I'll try and write it down and then come up with the story behind it. But recently I've realized, like, I don't need to have a concept all the time, and I'm getting more and more used to the idea of not having to have this, you know, big artsy-fartsy piece with a huge story behind it, and I'm trying to get more used to just shooting what I like. But when I do have the idea for a good concept, I normally try and write it down so I don't forget, because I have the memory of a goldfish. Are you going to pursue photography as a future job? The answer is, I don't know. I mean, I always tell people that, you know, yes I am, but in all honesty, I'm really not sure, because, you know, that would be my dream, like, that's what I really want to do, but I don't know if that would work out. I'm scared I wouldn't be able to pay my bills, I wouldn't be able to, you know, feed myself, which is kind of important. I want to move out on my own one day, so, you know, I don't want to live with my parents forever, and, you know, I want to be able to have enough money to survive, you know, and do these things, and I really, really want it to be my career. What is my absolute favorite part about creating a photo? Coming up with a concept, shooting, editing, sharing, etc. I have to say that shooting has to be my absolute favorite part of the whole thing, because it's just so fun in that moment, and you're not worrying about anything else but looking weird in a dress or taking that picture on your... What are some of your biggest inspirations? This is a really hard one. Well, in terms of who, I'm not even going to try and name everybody, because there's so many photographers that I follow or that I'm friends with, or, you know, I look at their artwork. There's just too many to name that give me inspiration daily, not even so much through their photos, but just how kind and genuine they are. And it just amazes me how there's so many people all across the world that, you know, care about me and want to be my friend. Okay, in terms of what? Everything. Like, I've really learned to appreciate the little things in life, and it's so weird because me and my friends are just, you know, walking down the street, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, that hill is so pretty, look at the pretty hill, it's so perfect, and they look at me and they're just kind of like, what are you talking about? What is your definition of a photographer's eye? My definition of a photographer's eye is, you know, seeing everything with new life and noticing little things about the world that make it beautiful. You know, just noticing little details about everything and appreciating something for what it is and wanting to be curious about the little things in life. If you could have any photo prop, what would it be? There's so many. Okay, I would love to have a giant grandfather clock, an old pirate ship, a massive map that was like 5 times the size of me, you know, God, a giant ripped up teddy bear, There's so many that, like, I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, those I mentioned before are just some things that I think would be really cool. But, you know, like I said, if an abandoned house would just show up right outside my window, that'd be excellent. What was your favorite part about the visit you had with Sammy? Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my pen pal that I've had for the longest time, Sammy, she actually came here July 16th and stayed with me for a week, and that was really cool because I'd only been Skyping with her or writing letters for the past year, and I really wanted to meet, you know, my first Flickr friend or whatever. And so when she actually came, it was so cool, and I couldn't believe it because she was an actual, you know, real person. And so we spent a week just going around the city and going outside the city a little bit, going to beaches and seeing touristy things and going to these amazing photo locations, and we baked it. But I think my favorite part, was the last night she was here. And we actually rushed up to Signal Hill, which is the lookout, and here is a photo. So we actually rushed up to the lookout just as the sun was setting, and even though it was, you know, one of the shortest photo shoots you've ever had, it was so cool because the sun was just setting and the light was beautiful, and we were in a rush because we were trying it at home, but it was so spontaneous. We were yelling and screaming and laughing, and it was just crazy. And it was just so fun, you know what I mean? And so out of all the stuff we did, packed into a week, that's my favorite memory, is just like freaking out and screaming a lot and just hanging out on that last night. And then when we got home, we listened to Gordon Lightfoot. Have any funny photo stories about shooting in public? A lot. Not so much recently because now I kind of dress more normal, but in the past, when I used to wear my really, really wacky dresses and stuff, and my big costumes, and I had lots of props with me, and I'd go to places where a lot of people were. Once I went up to Signal Hill, and I had on my blue ball gown, a wig that I made, and I was carrying a frying pan because I was doing like a Rapunzel photo. And I saw like these 4 guys that I knew from school. Yeah, it was really awkward. But honestly, I've never had someone actually come up to me and, you know, make fun of me in public or really stop and stare at me. I know a lot of people have, especially in the Hidden Treasures group on Facebook, but really I don't have that many hilarious stories, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just because I don't give a crap about what I look like when I'm shooting. I don't know. What camera do I use and what editing software do I use? Right now, the newest camera I have a Canon Rebel T3i, and I have a 50mm with that. I named my camera Vivian and my lens Ralph. I also use Photoshop CS6. Where is my favorite place to take pictures? Either Cape Spear, Signal Hill, or Topsail Beach. Or any beach, really. You know, again, like, I feel so bad for saying all this, like, oh, I really can't choose, but I really can't because there's so many places in the city that I love to take pictures at, and I love them all equally, and they're so different, and I have good memories at all of them, so I really can't choose one. What's my favorite smell? Oh my god. I don't know. I love food, so this is a really hard question, but like anything baked, baked bread, you know, homemade Newfoundland turkey dinner cooking, the smell of the seaweed at the ocean, there's so many. Where do I get the dresses that I shoot in? I get all my dresses either at Value Village, 100%, thrift stores, Value Village. Some of the ones that I use, I even just get in like American Eagle or Urban Planet, just stores in the mall, that are actually, you know, half decent for using for photo shoots. But if any of my like big extravagant dresses, I get those from Value Village because they're really cheap. I got a dress for like my blue ball gown that I've had for 2 years. It's like my trusty pal. I got that for $6.99, I think. And they sell wedding dresses there for like $20. So I'm gonna get one. It's gonna be good. Okay, I'm coming back to the photo that was the hardest to make but turned out well. I don't even remember, because I'm sure I know that in the past there's been some photos that have really took a lot of time in post-processing because either I didn't shoot it right or whatever, but the most recent one that I found the hardest to make is this one. It was just it was the most time consuming because it was a lot of layer masking, and at first I couldn't get the colors quite right, but I'd say that one. But like I said, in the past there's been so many just because I lacked the technical skills to kind of make it work well, so I had to spend a lot of extra time. What is my favorite photograph and why? It's either this one, this one, this one, or this one. Okay, so that's it for the Facebook questions. So now we're going to move on to the questions from good old Flickr. What projects have you done and why did you decide to do them? I'll tell you all the ones I've, done. I've done 365, I did 52 weeks, and I'm currently nearing the end of 80 Days of Summer. My 365 I never completed. I stopped at, I think it was day 127 because I look back on it now and I hate everything. Then my 52 weeks, I actually thought to myself at first, like, oh, this will be a lot easier than my 365, and I still want to, redeem myself. I want to do this. And so I did 52 weeks, and I finished that a year ago. And yes, it was a lot easier. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say, it was still challenging. It was a hell of a lot easier than my 365 project, but I still enjoyed it all the same, and there was some photos that I didn't even put on public because I hated them so much. And now I'm doing an 80 Days of Summer, and that's actually worked out really well. I mean, it's just like a 365, and I have seen people that, have started in 80 days and then gone and finished a 365 after that, just kept doing it. I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I just don't have the drive and commitment while I'm in school to photograph every day. But it's been really good, and I've liked almost every photo I've posted. I've cheated for maybe 1/4 of it, put up old photos and stuff, but you know what, I'm not going to stress about it. And I decided to do these projects just because, well, I saw a lot of other people were doing them, and at that time when I was younger, I wanted to be like everybody else, and so that's one reason. But another reason is because I was thinking in my head, I really want to improve, because everyone goes through phases of thinking oh, my art sucks and blah blah blah, and I was going through that every single time I decided to start a project, and so I just really wanted to push myself and be spontaneous with it, and I just wanted to give it a try, because I normally I try everything once, or I try to try everything once, and so yeah. Okay. If you could take pictures anywhere in the world, where would that be? I am not even going to try and answer this question because there's so many places I want to travel, but I don't even know anything about the places I want to go to yet. But there's so many places. I mean, look how big the world is. I am a little dot right there. Or, wait, that red thumbtack, I'm a little dot on the end of that. So, the world is so big, and I haven't even thought about where my favorite place to go would be. I just know that I want to travel everywhere, and I want to get away from here and immerse myself in other people's culture. I always want this to be my home, but I just want to see the world because I'm so curious about it, and I just want to go everywhere. My favorite editing tool. The one I can't live without, obviously, is layer masking and curves, because I use that on almost every photo that I take. My favorite one, yeah, I'm going to say right now my favorite one has to be curves, because that's the one I use. I use that on every single photo, and it's so fun to just play around with the sliders and see the different kinds of colors you can create. And even if I don't do it very well half the time, I still really like, I spend like an hour just playing around with the colors to see what I like the best. Okay. Have you taken any formal classes on photography? If so, what classes? No, I haven't. My middle name is Jane Madison, Jane Mills. You know, it's so plain. I don't like my name very much. I mean, no one even calls me by my real name. But yeah, Jane. My favorite milkshake flavor. I love milkshakes. Oh my god. Strawberry. What do I like to do in my spare time, not including photography? I like to paint, read, draw. I love to like think up concepts. I don't know if that counts. I love watching YouTube just for something to do, like browsing on YouTube. And I have an amazing group of friends, and so I hang out with them quite frequently. And really, like, there's some days I just love sitting alone in my house and not really doing anything and just like burritoing myself inside of a duvet and just like sitting on my couch and watching TV. I mean, my side life, it's really not that exciting. Where is my dream photo location? I'm gonna say, okay, the first thing that pops in my mind is a picture I saw on Facebook recently. I don't quite remember where it is, but there's this house somewhere in the desert, and it's the house is still there, but the whole inside has like sand dunes all over the inside of the house, and so it's a bit like abandoned house, and I think that would be really amazing. I mean, any abandoned house really, because there's a lot of them here, but they're surrounded by modern houses, and there's so many people that, you know, could see me trespassing or whatever, and I'm just too much of a wussy to go into them alone, so, you know, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that one day when I go to a meetup that we'll be able to go to an abandoned house, because any abandoned house for me is so interesting, and there's so much history there that I just want to explore it and see what kind of life was there before. I'm such a nerd. Nah. I think that's all the questions. So now let's have a dance party!